Hey, hi everyone. Welcome to your show, E-Coffee with Experts. This is your host, Ranmay here. And today we have Adrienne Wilkerson, who is the co-founder and CEO of INC 5000 winner for Beacon Media and Marketing with us. Hey, Adrienne. Hi. Adrienne, before we move any forward, let's get to the human behind the mic. Why don't you talk us through your journey thus far? And how did you start Beacon Media? How is it going? And we take it from there.
Okay, that sounds wonderful. Yeah, so I started my first company in 2001. That was Beacon Publishing and Design. And we focused primarily on graphic design, website design, and branding. And really, it started off because one, I realized I made a terrible employee and I made a really good boss. I was good at organizing and telling people what to do. And I had way too many ideas that didn't always fit within somebody else's company structure or business structure. And I've just always been the one to find my own trail and blaze that trail. And so that there wasn't always a lot of opportunity to do that within existing corporate structures. So that was part of why I started my first business. The other part was really seeing a need in the industry where a lot of small businesses were really struggling with trying to find affordable marketing services. And back then, again, my specialty was website design and logos and branding and that sort of thing. But I really wanted to be able to connect with that small business and that startup. So that was what birthed the original company back in 2001. And then I ended up with a couple of designers working for me over the years. But by 2005, 2006, 7, I was realizing things were changing in our world, in our industry, and that
Right.
traditional advertising was not going to be a thing much longer. Facebook was emerging, it was MySpace, and then Facebook, and then iPhones coming out in 2007. We now have a computer in our back pocket or purse,
Right.
and we don't need a brochure anymore. And so the stuff that I had built my whole career on up until that point was going to be pivoting and changing. And so I realized we needed to make that shift as well. So I ended up meeting Jennifer Christensen, who was coming from the marketing side of things, and I was coming from the design and organizational side of things. And so we merged businesses in 2012 and launched the first
Mhm.
digital marketing agency in Alaska, in Anchorage, Alaska.
Lovely.
Yeah. And so it grew from there. We went national in 2017, I would say, and never looked back in some ways. So now we work with clients across the country and in Canada as well.
Lovely, quite a journey, I must say. Adrian, running an agency has its own challenges, right? We know that. Now, when you're starting it out, again, the challenges are different, and again, you'd have faced a lot to keep the lights on, to get it going, and now where you've arrived. Talk us through
Yeah.
those initial challenges which you and your team would have faced, and how did you overcome them? And this is for the
Yeah.
listeners who are trying to, you know, start their entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah. No, that's a great question. I think one of our unique challenges when we started that thankfully is not as much of a challenge anymore is just when we first started as a digital agency, it was so new that nobody knew what was going on. Nobody knew what PPC was. Facebook wasn't even doing paid ads, for heaven's sakes, when we started. It was all organic content. And so it wasn't just the challenge of finding trained staff. Jennifer and I literally would learn how to do digital marketing at night, the nuts and bolts of it, and teach our staff during the day on how to do it because it was so new. We were all learning organically. So anytime you're starting an entrepreneurial journey and you're launching a company where you're an ultra early adapter, it is a much, much harder road. I don't recommend it for most people. It is exciting. It is exhilarating to be able to say that you were the first to market with this or whatnot. But the level of education that we had to do for every single sale was astronomical. It was more education oftentimes than it was even presenting our products or our services because
Mhm.
it was also new. No, our clients didn't even know what we were selling them. And what we would hear more often than not was this Facebook thing's not going away. I guess I need a Facebook page. What am I paying you for? You're playing on Facebook all day? I don't understand. So we actually launched a whole division of our company that was just focused on education. And we would offer, at that point, all of our clientele was in person. So much of what we were doing is meeting the challenges and adapting to the challenges as they came up, because we never knew what was going to happen one day or the next. So something I would say to all new entrepreneurs that are looking to get into this, you have to be adaptable. You have to be fluid. You have to be willing to pivot on a moment's notice. And especially if your industry is tied to technology like ours is, services that exist one day quite literally may not exist the next day. And that happened to us many times. We would have to
Very
call
true.
clients up. I know hey, that product we sold you last week. Yeah, Facebook changed. It doesn't exist anymore. So here's how we're going to pivot. So I feel like that was a word we said ad nauseum and got sick of. Oh, time to pivot again. Time to pivot again. So
Right.
that's entrepreneurs. I had no idea how much being a business owner and being an entrepreneur would require me to be that flexible and to be
Right.
willing to constantly adapt and change. And it really made me question so much even about myself and like in a good way, needing to, okay, am I really comfortable with pivoting again? Am I really comfortable with pivoting again? And you just have to get used to and comfortable saying I was wrong and I messed up and it's time to pivot.
Right.
But so I tell my team a lot, failure is not the problem. Not learning from the failure is the problem. You will fail nonstop anytime you
Mhm.
start a business. And that's not
Right.
necessarily a bad thing. You learn more from your failures if you're willing to own them and admit them and learn from them than you ever do from your successes. But
Right.
that's hard. A lot of entrepreneurs are very strong personalities. We don't like admitting when we're wrong. I hate it.
Right.
But I have had to learn to be very good at it because we don't know it all and we need a team around us to make that work. But at the beginning, you have to know everything as much as you can because you end up wearing a dozen hats, a thing. And so flexibility is the name of the game. Being willing to pivot, being able to own and learn from mistakes are, I think, some of the key points that nobody talks about that are important to being a successful entrepreneur.
Lovely. And you touched upon technology in our industry. AI is something which kind of has been there for some time now, but yeah, last
Mhm.
18 months or so, it has hit us hard and
Right.
whatever way we want to put it, right? So it
Mhm.
is, and AI is increasingly integrated into marketing strategies these days. So as per you, how can businesses leverage AI effectively without losing that human touch?
Yeah, I love that question. What we use a lot is that AI is an amazing co-pilot. It can be a great assistant. It can really help enhance what you're already doing. But if you want to maintain that human touch, it's got to stay as a co-pilot. You can't let it fly the plane
Yeah.
put that analogy through. And so how that translates into day-to-day life for us and for most businesses, and I was just talking to a group up in Canada earlier this month, and we were talking about you can't give AI those prompts, let it generate your website content or your blog content or your social media content, and then just copy and paste that. That is losing
Yeah.
that human touch. That's letting AI
True.
fly the plane, as it were. But when we leverage the strengths that AI does bring to the table, which is great at giving us prompts, AI is amazing with the research that it can do, the amount of data that it can collate that would have taken us hours and hours, if not
Yes, yeah.
days, to correlate in the past. AI brings all that together. But if we get lazy, for lack of a better word, and depend on AI instead of taking that data and humanizing it, then that's where I think we cross that line into losing that human touch. And so I really encourage people use AI to do SEO research or keyword research for your blogs. Use it to do target audience research, ask it questions. but verify everything it gives you. Because what I often say is AI is still a child. It's still in its youth, if you will. None of us believe everything. None of us should believe everything that we read on the internet or see on the internet, but AI still does. It is
Yeah.
still learning to differentiate true information. And honestly, it's hard for us humans to do that sometimes too. But there's really no differentiation for AI. If the information there, it takes it, pulls it, and gives it to you as fact. So we still have to fact check AI. That may disappear soon. But at this point, we still have to fact check AI and humanize AI. And so that's taking the information that it gives us and putting it into our own words. And that's the piece
Absolutely.
that, yeah, that can we still humanize it. But that's a critical step that it's easy
Yeah.
to get lazy with.
Yeah, absolutely. Realizing it at the end of it, once you've gathered that information, which you mentioned, would have taken a lot of hours depending on what we are trying to extract. But yeah, that final humanization touch is very important. And then with now Google being Google, coming up with all those updates about AI content, all that stuff, it has become more crucial for having a
Yeah.
good content team at place. And in fact, the content folks who were worried about their jobs back in December 2022, rather, right? December 2022 is when it hit us. So in fact, the ones which have actually gotten more tech savvy in terms of using AI
Yes.
to make the work easier are the ones who are paid the best, right? So it has worked the
Absolutely.
opposite to what they were scared about.
Yeah, we say a lot, and this is not something we came up with, definitely something we've borrowed, but AI isn't necessarily going to replace people, but people using AI will replace people that are not. And I
Yeah.
liken it to the old days of the factories where we're making vehicles and cars. It used to be somebody was behind that screw gun, screwing in every bolt into that vehicle. And
Yeah.
then machines started to replace that. The people that kept their jobs are the people that learned how to program those machines and maintain those machines. And so that I see as our evolution with AI is we only get the information we get out is only as good as what we put into it. And so it's still that strategic piece, that empathy piece, that intuition piece that humans contribute to that. And without that, we don't have that human element, if you will. And so that's the piece that I see where we're still maintaining essentially and learning how to manage those machines.
Yeah, absolutely. Content at the end of the day is have to be consumed by us humans. So
Right.
that storytelling aspect of it, the emotional question, and all those factors in terms of us making that final decision of buying a product, using a service, whatever, right?
Right.
So that
Right.
aspect is so important to resonate with your target audience versus just writing content for just pushing in those content which are probably grammatically
Right.
correct, factually correct, but that storytelling part of it is so important. And then I see a lot of content up there who are just targeting the Google algos to rank, right? But even if you rank and it does not resonate your brand voice with your
Right.
target audience, how does that work?
That's where you end up with huge bounce rates because people
Absolutely.
show up in searches because they're playing the algorithm game and they're doing all that. But people might hit a website, but they're not going to stay if the content
Yeah.
isn't human and doesn't resonate with them. We're all getting better and better at going, AI definitely wrote that, kind of a thing. And but you said it beautifully. Like it has to resonate because we're still marketing to humans. We
Absolutely.
might be trying to mess with the algorithms, but at the end of the day, we've got to market to humans. They're the ones still making the buying decisions. Yeah. I love how you said that.
Thank you. Thank you. And then moving on, Adrian, company culture, right, is one of your specialties that we have found out. Let our audiences know unique strategy or something that you would have implemented at your agency Beacon to foster a strong and positive work environment. And in our agency scheme of things, we know retention of resources is also very critical. right?
Right.
So how all of that is something that you balance out at weekend is something we'd want to know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, company culture is definitely something that I'm very passionate about. And really, what Jennifer and I set out to do is create a company we wanted to show up and work at every day. And so the
Very nice.
idea is that kind of filters down. And it's almost that adage of treat somebody the way you would want to be treated. And so that's a foundational piece for us is we all want to be respected as people. We all want to be respected for our ideas, for our identity, for who we are. And so a foundational part of our culture is you just be respectful and treat people like human beings. And so we talk about being a very family focused, people first company. And that
Mhm.
really affects all of our decisions. We really filter through, okay, we've got extra profit. What are we going to do with it this quarter? The first question is, how do we benefit our people with this? Because we are a people
Lovely.
first company. And so that is something that Jennifer and I committed to each other from the very beginning. And we did have a pretty crappy culture at one point. I feel like Jennifer and I woke up one morning and it was like, this is not the company we wanted to create. Like, how did this happen? And we really had to take a really tough look at ourselves. And because a company culture comes from your leaders, whether you want it to, whatever company culture you have, it comes from your leaders. So we're like, well,
Sure.
where did we miss the mark? And a lot of it, we hired people that we probably shouldn't have and that really weren't aligned with our vision for culture. They were much more focused on profit, on systems, on processes. People were an afterthought. And so we had to do some house cleaning and we had to own that we had allowed this to flourish in our organization. And so we brought it back to we are a people first company. And what is it going to take? We went and talked to each employee. What is it going to take for you to want to show up to work every day? And it all came back to the same thing of people wanted to be respected as people. And so we talk a lot about your whole person shows up at work. We don't believe in this work persona, personal persona thing. You are a whole integrated person. And whether you want to own that or not, your personal life does affect how your work performance happens and vice versa. It all affects everything. And so that is one thing that we are very passionate about here is owning the whole person. And that gets messy. I'll be honest. There's times where
Yeah.
it just gets messy and we've had to have conversations. Okay, we understand that you just need to take the day off. There's so much going on in your personal life. You just need to
Yeah.
take the day off and get that sorted. Okay, no, maybe you need to take the week off and get that sorted. But it's like, how can we support you? Because that what's going on at home, we've been through divorces with each other. We've been through deaths of loved ones. We've been through weddings. We've been through spousal abuse and trying to help employees get out of abusive situations. We've been through the gambit of stuff with employees. But what we found is when we're willing to have those conversations and go, look, your work
Mm.
performance is really struggling. What's going on? What's going on at home? And some people are more comfortable than others sharing what's going on,
Mhm.
but it's almost more about asking that question than really getting the entire answer because it shows we care about the whole person more than just their work performance every day. And when we care about them, their work performance is so much better because they feel cared for and they feel
Yeah.
recognized and seen and heard as a person. And so that's some of the more nebulous side of what we do. Some of the concrete stuff is we offer unlimited PTO here. Because if somebody's starting to burn out, we would rather they take the day
Mhm.
and come back way better tomorrow, or come take a week and come back way better next week. We've just found that there are times where you got to push through. There are times when there's client emergencies and it's all hands on deck and we're all just rocking to make it happen. But those are spikes. We can't
Right.
expect everybody to maintain that level all the time. And America's really bad at this. Burnout is almost a badge of honor in this country, and it's terrible. It needs to stop, in my opinion. It is one of the worst things that has ever really, not the worst, but it is a really harmful thing, I believe, for American culture. It's just, there are so many other cultures that do it so much better as far as better paternity leave and maternity leave and really caring about somebody's mental and emotional health and not just expecting them to be an automaton that just can crank all day, every day for 365 days. Nobody can function like that. So unlimited PTO is one thing that we do. Flex Fridays is another thing that we do here, where we pay people for a full week, but if they get their work done early, they're just on call. They don't have to show up. They don't have to be in a meeting. And it's really just knowing that there's that flexible day that, hey, if they want to just put their head down and get an hour's worth of stuff done to feel like they're finishing up the week, great. Or if they want to go attend their kids' baseball game, they can do that and not feel like they're guilty, don't feel guilty because they're letting somebody else down. So that's been both of those have been really successful components of our culture. We do a lot of what we call head and heart check-ins. We're like, how are you doing at work? And in a very brief thing, we don't need all the detail. How are you doing at home? How's your heart doing? How's your head doing? Just giving people an opportunity to share that, we've noticed, has been really impactful. And you'll always have those people that want to overshare, but you work with them individually, help coach them through what's appropriate, not appropriate to share at work. And they even appreciate that, we found. So those are some of the kind of specifics that we've done here that have made an impact.
Lovely, lovely. I just loved it when you said you own the entire person when he or she walks through the door, right? Because it's not only about professional, personal, and how much, irrespective of how much we talk about it, how much the industry and overall gurus talk about it, having both the life sacred, it's really difficult.
Yeah, agreed.
It is. Great, Adrienne. This has been a brilliant conversation, and I'm sure our audience would love the insights that you have shared today. But yeah, before we let you go, I would like to play a quick rapid fire. I hope you're game for it.
Sure, go for it.
Yeah. Your last Google search.
Ooh, last Google search was best gel pens. I love to write and journal, so I'm always looking for the next best cool pen out there.
I was going to ask the reason for that, but now I got it. All right. Your celebrity crush.
Very good one. Jason Statham.
All right. I relate to that there. Okay. And your favorite client story.
Favorite client story.
And it can be a bit longer answer.
Yes. We have this one client that started off as a sole proprietor and she wanted to grow. And she didn't tell us, but what we were charging her for the marketing budget was almost half of her monthly revenue when she signed up with us. And that she didn't tell us this until almost 9 months later. And she was so excited and enthused to grow that she implemented every recommendation we gave her. She asked us so many really great questions. And within 6 months, she grew from a sole proprietor to being able to start hiring new providers. And she 5x'd, I believe, her revenue in 1 year. Now that's an extreme, but to me, it's an amazing example of her choosing to lean in to not just our recommendations, but other business experts' recommendations. And like I said, it was later when she came back and shared with us that the risk that she actually took with us and just her willingness to trust and to invest that much in her marketing was very humbling to us. So we were very grateful to be able to be a part of that journey. But that one's probably one of my favorite extremes. And when she came to us and was like, I get to take a vacation. Or she'd made enough money that she could actually take a vacation. That was in year 3, I think, with us. But it was just amazing to watch her growth and how much she was willing to lean in and pivot and do all the things we talked about.
Lovely, lovely story. All right, moving on. What did you do with your first paycheck? The first one of your life.
First one of my life. Oh man. I went out and bought my first real professional wardrobe.
Okay.
I realized how off I was, and yes, I think I bought my first suit with my first paycheck.
Great. Yeah, we'll not grill you any further, Adrienne. Thank you so much for taking out time to do this with us. And for audiences, if they want to reach out to you, how do they do that?
We're on pretty much every social media channel. You can usually find us at Beacon M or our website, beaconmm.com.
All right. Lovely, Adrienne. Thank you so much. It has been a real pleasure hosting you. Cheers.
Yes, thank you so much.